You're watching Story Scroll. Real stories, raw emotions, and endings you'll never forget. Let's scroll into today's tale.
Original post, she announced she was engaged to someone else while still living in my house. I, 34M, never thought I'd be the type to post something like this, but honestly, the past week feels like a fever dream. I don't even know whether to laugh or just stare at a wall. Maybe both. My girlfriend, now ex, 29F, and I had been together for about 3 years. For most of it, things were good, or at least I thought they were. She moved into my house about a year ago, after we'd talked about marriage. I own the place, and she contributed to groceries and utilities, but the house, mortgage, and everything in it are mine. For the last few months, though, she'd been different. You know when someone's physically present but emotionally gone? Late-night girls' nights that never made sense, her phone suddenly always flipped face down, and a coldness that she tried to pass off as stress from work. I wanted to believe her, I really did. I even asked if something was wrong, if she was unhappy, if I'd done something. She always brushed it off. "I'm just tired, babe. You're imagining things. Don't be paranoid." Turns out I wasn't paranoid enough. Last Saturday, she told me she wanted to host a small dinner at the house. Just a few friends, something fun and low-key. Sure, why not? We'd hosted before, and I figured maybe this was her way of reconnecting after a rough patch. Everything started normally. Music, laughter, too much wine. Then, when dessert came out, she stood up, clinked her glass, and said, "Everyone, I have something special to announce." I'll never forget her expression. She looked radiant. "I'm engaged," she said, holding up a ring. Everyone gasped, including me. At first, I genuinely thought she was joking, like maybe she was setting up some prank or weird inside joke I wasn't in on. But then she added, "To Jason, we've been seeing each other for months, and I just couldn't hide it anymore. I know this is awkward, but love is love, right?" Jason? I had never even heard that name before that moment. There was a full 10 seconds of silence. You could hear forks drop. I just stared at her. Then I looked around at everyone else's faces, half of them stunned, the other half pretending not to make eye contact. She kept talking, rambling about how she didn't mean to hurt me, how we'd grown apart, and how she couldn't deny what her heart wanted. She even said she hoped I'd understand someday. I don't know what she expected me to do, scream, cry, beg. Instead, I looked at her and said, "Congratulations to you both." She blinked, laughed awkwardly, and said, "Wait, what?" "Congratulations," I repeated. "You should celebrate somewhere else." The silence that followed was so heavy you could taste it. One of her friends coughed. Jason wasn't there, thank God, but everyone knew the night was over. People made excuses and filtered out as fast as they could. She tried to talk to me, saying she didn't want to end things badly, that she hoped we could still be friends. I just nodded, kept my voice calm, and told her we'd talk later. When the door closed behind the last guest, I went upstairs, opened my laptop, and started changing passwords. Bank, Wi-Fi, utilities, everything. Then I called the local police non-emergency line. I explained that my ex-girlfriend had announced she was engaged to someone else and that I wanted her removed from my property. Since she wasn't on the deed or lease, she legally had no tenancy rights. They said an officer would be by shortly to supervise the removal to avoid domestic escalation. About an hour later, 2 officers arrived. She looked shocked when they explained that she had to pack her things and leave that night. "But I live here," she kept saying. One officer said, "Ma'am, you were invited to stay as a guest. That invitation has been revoked." She tried to argue, begged for a few days, and even accused me of being cruel. I stayed calm, didn't raise my voice once. I just told her, "You announced you were engaged to another man while living in my home. I'm giving you the courtesy of leaving peacefully tonight. Please take it." She stormed off to pack, muttering curses under her breath. It took her about an hour to get everything she could fit into her car. Before she left, she turned to me and said, "You'll regret this. Jason will make sure of it." I smiled. "I'm sure he will. Congratulations again." Then I closed the door. That night, I changed every lock, garage code, and security setting in the system. She used to have full access to my cameras and alarm app, so I wiped all permissions, deleted her accounts, even set up new motion alerts and passwords. It was around midnight when I finally sat down with a beer, exhausted but weirdly at peace. That's when the pounding started. Someone was at the front door, slamming hard enough to rattle the frame. I checked the camera feed, and there he was, Jason, the fiancé. He was red-faced, shouting that I was keeping his fiancée out of her home. He demanded I let her back in, that I was acting crazy, and that she had a right to her stuff. I unlocked the door, stepped out onto the porch, and looked him dead in the eyes. "You mean my home," I said. He froze for a second. I could see the confusion flicker in his face, like he'd just realized this wasn't the story she'd told him. He started yelling again, saying she had nowhere to go and that I was heartless. I told him I'd already boxed her remaining things and that he could pick them up tomorrow with police present. Then I shut the door and let him shout to the empty porch. The security cameras caught everything, every word, every threat. I saved it all. That was 3 nights ago. She's been blowing up my phone since, alternating between apologizing and raging. Jason's messages went from demanding to silence. I don't know what's coming next, but I have a feeling this story isn't over. All I can say is, sometimes congratulations is the best revenge you can give. Because nothing ruins a cheater's fantasy faster than realizing their happily ever after just got locked out. Update 1. She said I'd regret kicking her out. Turns out, she regretted everything. Hey Reddit, OP here. Didn't expect my first post to blow up the way it did. I wrote it more as a vent than anything, but apparently people really like watching poetic justice unfold. So here's the update you've all been asking for, and trust me, it gets even messier. After that night, I didn't sleep much. My phone was blowing up with messages from her, calls, texts, voicemails. She went from angry, "You'll regret this," to desperate, "Can we just talk?" to apologetic, "I messed up, please don't do this." I didn't respond to a single one. The police report was filed that same evening, confirming that she had no tenancy rights. She wasn't on the deed, not on any bills, not paying rent. Legally, she was a guest. That piece of paper gave me every bit of peace I needed. The next morning, around 9 a.m., I heard a car screech into my driveway. I checked the camera. It was Jason, the fiancé. He stormed up to the porch like he owned the place, shouting my name. When I opened the door, he pointed at me and said, "You need to let her in. This is her home too." I calmly told him, "It's not. The police confirmed it last night. Her belongings are boxed up on the porch. Take them and leave." He glared at me like I'd insulted his entire bloodline. "You're a pathetic excuse for a man," he said. "She told me everything. You're bitter and controlling. You locked her out just to make her look bad." I didn't argue. Instead, I pulled out my phone, opened the home security app, and hit play. The footage showed her and him in my house, laughing, kissing, cooking dinner together, multiple nights. Each timestamp clearly showing me clocked in at work during those same hours. Jason went quiet. His jaw literally dropped. He took a step back like the footage had physically hit him. All I said was, "You might want to check what else she hasn't told you." He didn't say another word. He grabbed the boxes, threw them into his car, and drove off. I watched from the camera as he stopped halfway down the street, got out, and started yelling at her in the passenger seat. She got out, threw something at him, and then he sped away, leaving her standing there. The next few days were interesting. Word got around. Apparently, one of her friends who'd been at the dinner party told everyone about the announcement. The story spread through our mutual circle like wildfire. Half the people were disgusted. The other half said, there are two sides to every story. Sure, except my side had video proof. She started contacting me again, this time through different numbers. I got everything from teary voicemails to "you ruined my life" texts. At one point, she even messaged my sister asking her to convince me to be reasonable. I didn't block her. I archived everything. Then came the news I didn't expect but definitely enjoyed. Jason dumped her. A mutual friend told me he'd confronted her about lying. She told him that she and I were already broken up when they started seeing each other. But once he realized she'd literally been living with me the whole time, he lost it. He told her she was manipulative, that she used him for attention, and that he wanted nothing to do with her. Within a week, she'd gone from having a boyfriend and a fiancé to being homeless with nowhere to go. Here's where it gets even darker, or funnier, depending on your perspective. She worked at a small marketing firm that my company partnered with occasionally. Her boss, who I've known for years, called me, awkwardly asking what had happened. I told him the truth, nothing exaggerated, just the facts. She cheated, announced an engagement in my home, and was escorted out by police. Apparently, her behavior had already been raising red flags at work, missed deadlines, mood swings, showing up late. The public drama was the final straw. She was let go within the week for conduct damaging to the company's image. A few days later, she sent me one final text. "I know I messed up. I just need a place to stay for a few days. Please don't do this to me. You know me better than anyone." I replied, "You made your new home when you got engaged. You should stay there." She didn't reply after that. Fast forward a week. I was sitting on my couch, finally feeling like things were quiet again, when a coworker sent me a link. It was a Reddit post, my post, the one I'd written from a throwaway account. It had gone viral overnight. Thousands of comments, hundreds of awards. Apparently, people really resonated with "congratulations to you both." At first, it was kind of funny seeing my story blow up. But then I got a text from an unknown number. "So this is how you humiliate me?" It was her. Somehow, someone from our old friend group had connected the dots and sent her the post. She was furious, accusing me of defamation, of trying to destroy her reputation. She even said she'd talked to a lawyer. I told her calmly, "Everything in that post is true. I have timestamps, security footage, and police reports, but please have your lawyer contact me if you want." That was the last message I ever sent her. She never followed up. Probably realized that the truth doesn't count as defamation. The funny part, the post actually made a few rounds on local Facebook groups. Someone screenshot the story and shared it, and it eventually reached people she used to work with. Her name wasn't mentioned, but everyone who knew the details figured it out. I didn't have to lift a finger. Karma was doing her job beautifully. Her social media accounts went dark not long after. Instagram gone, Facebook deleted, even her LinkedIn vanished. For a while, there was complete silence. No texts, no calls, no random appearances. It was like she'd vanished. Until this morning. Jason came back. I woke up to another round of pounding at my door, and for a split second I thought I was hallucinating. There he was again, looking completely different this time. No yelling, no aggression, just tired. He told me, "Man, I owe you an apology." Apparently, she tried to crawl back to him too, with the same lines. "I made a mistake. You're the only one who really understands me." All that nonsense. He said he blocked her after a week, but wanted to stop by to say I was right. We ended up talking for a bit.
Two guys who got played by the same person sitting on my porch like it was some kind of bad sitcom. Before he left, he said, "She's in a bad place right now. Be careful. She's unpredictable." I thanked him, told him I appreciated the warning. But honestly, I wasn't afraid, because now I had proof, peace, and my life back. And if there's one thing I've learned through this whole ordeal, it's that calm revenge hits harder than anger ever could. I thought it was over, but after what happened this morning, I'm starting to think there's one more chapter left in this story.
Final update. A year later, she wanted a second chance. I just smiled and said, "You already had one." Hey Reddit, OP here again. Didn't think I'd ever post a final update, but a few people asked what happened after my last one, and I'll admit, it feels good to close this chapter properly. About a week after Jason showed up to apologize, he and I actually grabbed coffee. Yeah, weird, right? Two guys who'd been played by the same woman sitting in a cafe like some awkward support group. But honestly, it wasn't awkward at all. He was surprisingly genuine. Said he'd been doing some thinking and wanted to clear the air completely. That's when he dropped a bomb I didn't expect. Turns out, while she was living with me and secretly seeing him, she was also seeing someone else. A coworker of hers, married guy. Jason said he found out when that man's wife reached out to him after reading my viral Reddit post. Apparently, she recognized the timeline and connected the dots. She even sent Jason screenshots from her husband's phone. So yeah, she wasn't just double dipping, she was triple dipping. Jason looked embarrassed telling me all this, but I actually felt weirdly calm, like nothing could surprise me anymore. It was almost poetic at this point, the truth catching up to her from all sides. We ended up talking for over an hour, just two people who'd been lied to, trying to make sense of it. When we left, he said, "You're lucky, man. You got out before it broke you." And he was right. I did. Months passed. Things finally got quiet. My phone stopped buzzing. The drama faded into background noise. Then, one night, about 4 months later, I got a text. "Hey, can we talk?" It was her. My stomach didn't drop this time. I didn't feel anger or pain, just detachment. Like I was reading a message from someone I used to know lifetimes ago. I didn't respond. An hour later, another text came. "I miss you. I made a huge mistake." Then a photo, not inappropriate, but the kind she used to send when she wanted to soften me up. Followed by, "Can we please talk? I just want to see you one last time." Still, I said nothing. 2 days later, she showed up at my door. I saw her on the security camera before she even rang the bell. She looked rough, not the confident, smug woman who once stood in my dining room announcing an engagement. Just tired, hollow. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. She started crying immediately. Said Jason dumped her, that she'd been in a bad place, that she'd never meant to hurt me. She talked about how lonely she was, how she'd lost her job, her apartment, her friends. Then she said the line that almost made me laugh. "You're the only person who ever really loved me." I let her talk until she ran out of words. Then I told her, calmly, "You made your choice. I just made mine afterward." She cried harder, asked if I could ever forgive her, if we could start fresh. I shook my head. "I already forgave you, but that doesn't mean I'll ever forget who you showed me you are." She said she'd change. I said, "You said that before, just not to me." After a long silence, she whispered, "You really don't care anymore, do you?" I told her the truth. I cared enough to stop letting you hurt me. Then I wished her well, turned around, and walked back inside. That was the last time I ever saw her. Time skip, 1 year later. If you told me then that I'd be genuinely happy now, I'd have laughed. But here I am. I've moved on, literally and emotionally. Sold that house, the one filled with ghosts of the past, and bought a new one closer to my office.
Started my own small consulting business, something I'd always wanted to do but kept postponing. And yeah, I met someone new. Her name's Emily. She's nothing like my ex. No drama, no games, no emotional chaos. She's warm, steady, kind. The first time I told her about everything that happened, she didn't pity me or mock me. She just said, "You must have felt really alone." That one sentence did more for my heart than any apology my ex could have given. We've been together almost 6 months now, and for the first time in years, I feel peace. Real, quiet peace. Sometimes people think revenge means hurting them back. But honestly, the best revenge is rebuilding yourself so well they can't even recognize you anymore. A few weeks ago, something strange arrived in the mail. A wedding invitation. From Jason. At first, I thought it was some kind of joke, but nope, he's actually getting married again to someone new. From the pictures he's posted, she looks like a lovely woman, and they seem genuinely happy. For a second, I debated tossing the invitation, but then I decided to do something better. I mailed back a card that simply said, "Congratulations to you both. Hope your announcement goes better than hers did." It made me chuckle when I sealed the envelope. A full circle moment, poetic and clean. Sometimes I still think about how fast everything unraveled that night. One dinner, one announcement, one moment that changed everything. I used to think it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Now, I see it as the best. Because losing someone who pretends to love you is never really a loss. It's freedom. If there's one thing I learned through all of this, it's that peace doesn't come from revenge. It comes from finally closing the door and locking it for good. I don't know where she is now, and I don't care. I don't hate her. I don't wish her ill. I just don't think about her anymore. And that, to me, is the ultimate closure.
Thanks for watching Story Scroll. Hit that bell and stay tuned for the next story that will move your heart.